Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the United Star. We hope you've recharged your batteries over the international break and Premier League football's last leg is back. We are into the final lap, so to say, and Manchester United are just grabbing onto that second place right now, but nothing is confirmed. Manchester United take on Brighton and Hove Albion, and we've got Neil from Netflix Football to preview this game for us. Neil, the international break, tell our viewers, how has it been for United fans? Harry Maguire's gotten a goal. Luke Shaw is continuing his Roberto Carlos like form. There have fingers crossed. It doesn't seem like there have been any new injuries. Bissaka and Rashford have seemed to gotten some rest. So, what are your views on the international break?
Hi, Prasham. Thanks for inviting me over to the United Star. It's been a pleasure hosting you and coming to your channel talking about football, the thing I love the most. International break has been quite hefty for us Premier League lovers because without a Premier League football, it doesn't feel like we have had our lunch or dinner or something like that. Something's missing. But on the same fact, on the international break, Bruno returned a game earlier, having provided almost an assist for Cristiano Ronaldo. That Nemanja Matic was like doing things and stuff. Other than that, Harry Maguire has been phenomenal, donned the captain's armband for a few minutes after Harry Kane went off. Even after that, Rashford and Van Bissaka, as you said, rested, gotten a few minutes, deserved rest because I saw somewhere that Rashford's agent came around. It's unconfirmed, but he said that he has been playing with an injury for over the last 2 years. So that is very disheartening considering that if you're a player and you play at your 60% and you get used to your injuries and you think your 60% is your 100%. The main thing about Rashford with his after his shoulder injury, I noticed that in the 2018-19 season when he was in the Jose Mourinho team and people were talking about like, okay, this is a good player. His drop of a shoulder was very devastating. As a dribbler, he has lost that. You see, his footwork has improved, but his pace that he can use with the drop of a shoulder, like he destroyed Demichelis' career with that drop of a shoulder, that's seemingly non-existent, and that's taken a lot away from his game. So hopefully that gets sorted out quite quick because we don't want to risk losing his long-term career. And other than that, Wan Bissaka, who has been running since the beginning of time, probably he has met Jesus Christ on the way. I don't know. By the way, so I have no idea. So how is better that he's gotten some rest and ready to kick on for the later half of the season. And other than that, some fringe players also probably getting their rests like the likes of Alex Telles not being selected for the Brazil squad. So more or less, I think United have benefited from this coming off of that awful Leicester defeat after a crucial match segment. So I hope Brighton, then 5 matches in April, Granada, then again Tottenham is there. The only fixture I think Tottenham and Leeds are going to trouble us. Fingers crossed on Granada. I don't trust Spanish teams anymore. So.
You've covered a lot of things there, Neil. I was actually going to ask you. I was going to ask you to give me an injury update, but you've already done that. I think most of our players are back in terms of Rashford. I think will be fit to start. Van Bissaka, who's looked a little tired, like you said, has got 2 weeks of rest. Probably is going to be resurrected, I guess, as well now in the last leg of the season. But I think another player that I feel that who also got a little who's been on an extended rest actually, David De Gea. He traveled with the Spanish team, but I think Enrique prefers Unai Simon, who seems to not understand how to play out from the back anyway. But so I think a lot of players have been rested, and I am expecting a good show in the Premier League. Now, you said that in the Premier League, forget the Europa League for a moment. We are in second spot in the Premier League, but Leicester, Chelsea are hot on our heels, right? And we have some tricky games, man. We've got Spurs, we've got Liverpool, we've got Leeds. Now, 8 games to go, 9 games to 8 games to go, 9 games to go, and these 3 games are tricky. So, do you think we will hang on to that second spot, or is it looking like someone else will come in and take it?
Prasam, I think you have heard the Gary Neville podcast where he said you either finish a good second or you finish a second like something like in the balance hone ke liye hona tha, something on that sort. So I disagree with Gary Neville over here because the way City are playing at the moment, anything you do between that is a good second because they don't seem to be losing points. I seem to be losing hair more than they seem to be losing points. So that's a given. And by the way, you said I forgot to mention about how Luke Shaw's resurgence about that Roberto Carlos form. So Luke Shaw, he is vital considering Marcus Rashford doesn't take the workload on that right wing. the one whenever Mason and Dan James has played on the right wing, they have covered Wan Bissaka a lot.
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
Rashford doesn't do that. So it's imperative that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer trusts Alex Telles and Luke Shaw and uses them in tandem because the matches are going to be coming thick and fast.
Yeah.
So, and Shaw's attacking input from the left hand side has been amazing so far. And the stats just show that it has been what we expected Luke Shaw seasons back, a lot of seasons back. So, Leeds, Tottenham, and Liverpool, as you said, all three, if I don't get into the tactical part just right now, we would love to overlap, we would love to exploit them through overlap. So our fullbacks would be essential. Marcus Rashford, I don't know the extent of the injury. Martial has been past fit. So I hope Martial kicks on in this final 10, 15 games of the. I still have hopes on Martial FC. Come on, cut me some slack. The guy is a destined Ballon d'Or winner being cheated by his French compatriots. Come on. So, so I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Erling Haaland FC we move.
Uh,
I just checking. No Barcelona fans outside my home
oh,
trying to mob.
I thought you were checking if Mina Riola has come to India also with Haaland to sell him there. but but Neil, I just want to move on from here to another point, which is I think crucial, which is going to be crucial, and what I want to ask you is that what is your predicted lineup for this game? And
Mhm.
I want you to tell me that since we're coming off the international game, we're probably going to play our strongest 11.
Right.
So, do you see now Paul Pogba being in that 11 consistently? Do you see his injury concerns sort of are past, and will we be seeing that Pogba Bruno midfield partnership again against Brighton?
If I remember the last Brighton match, probably the world went into meltdown. And I love that. Being a United fan, I just love that. When I see people posting like United cannot be given a penalty as like every other team deserves a penalty, only United doesn't deserve a penalty. Messi and Ronaldo have scored their like 30 odd percent goals from the penalty spot, but United doesn't deserve a penalty. This is the logic that I come across.
Mhm.
But on a tactical note, Brighton are like the teams of Southampton and Burnley, who although are in lingering in the bottom half of the season after and whatever after Neil Maupay's antics and whatnot, they press very much. They press very highly, and with the players that they've got without international duty, they will be more fitter and more aggressive towards winning the ball from United, which United have been susceptible of in various matches. Take the Southampton match, for instance, where run of the park. And
Mhm.
United, without Fred and McTominay, your foosball pairing,
Mhm.
United seem to be lacking that guile in midfield. But United can, if United can grab hold of the ball and Matic decides to be Matic, then there's no stopping Paul Pogba, who's at this brilliant form at the moment, and Bruno Fernandes is like Jesus Christ to us anyways. So I'm not going into Bruno Fernandes anymore. So there's no use playing Fred and McTominay in this kind of a match until if you cannot utilize Paul and Bruno against teams and you hope to utilize them against teams like Liverpool. If you cannot lay the foundation in the matches like against Brighton, again there's Fred and McTominay against the side passing and too much workload on Bruno, and the strikers doesn't get balls because Bruno is marked out of the game. See, Prasam, if you remember the Liverpool game where Pogba played on the right wing, started on the right wing or that right attacking midfield slot, he was getting majority of the ball in that channel because Bruno was double marked.
Mhm.
Suddenly, one of their midfielders shift over there, and Bruno was starting to influence the match.
Absolutely. So Neil, actually, this is what I've been saying for a long time that when Bruno and Pogba play together, you can't just double mark Bruno and live peacefully because there is this player who is, let's face it, in terms of ability, is two times the player Bruno Fernandes is. So you give him a chance, you give him space on the ball, he will shoot, he will pick his passes. So playing Bruno and Pogba together adds so much more to our attacking influence because it gives the space to both the players to play a little more freer role. I think in the last game you can see as well against Leicester, as soon as Paul Pogba comes on, Bruno Fernandes is playing a better game. As
Yes,
soon as he comes on, so it is obviously clear now to teams that okay, if Bruno is playing alone, double mark him. It's become very clear to teams because any player, however good you are, if you are double marked, if there is no space you have been afforded, you're not going to be able to do anything unless you are, of course, Cristiano Ronaldo or Leo Messi. Which, let's face it, however great Bruno Fernandes is, he's not at that level yet. Because these guys are, well, let's not get into that, but these guys are superhuman essentially. So, Neil, then what would be your sort of 11? Then Bruno and Pogba would be there. So, who would partner him? Would it be McTominay? And what would be your 11 otherwise in this game against Brighton?
I'd make a controversial choice and start Dean Henderson because it's time that Dean Henderson actually takes over the reins, and De Gea, you have to shuttle between them. Like I remember Barcelona having Ter Stegen and Diego Alves at the same time. Both were top keepers at that moment of time. So just even Jasper Cillessen after that, Claudio Bravo after before that. So they found a tandem between keeping two top keepers. And I fear if Dean Henderson isn't managed very properly, it is very difficult to keep hold of him considering the market out there for English goalkeepers. Aaron Wan-Bissaka on the right back, as usual. Who else is even there? So this comes without question. Left back Luke Shaw, definitely. Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof, both have been decent till date. Other than that, I'd prefer a Matic because he's the one that has been partnered most with Paul Pogba. And if Matic decides that to leave the banter to the dressing room and not bring it upon himself in the pitch, then Matic has been very decent. And I hope the 2 weeks of rest has done his old legs good. Pogba, Bruno in midfield, as you said, mentioned. I don't know if Rashford is fit. So if Rashford doesn't start, I'd hope Pogba to start on the left-hand channel and Fred and McTominay and Bruno to be football pairing and Bruno. Right wing Mason and striker Martial.
So no, no. It seems Cavani is fit as well. So Cavani wouldn't start for you up front.
I'd choose Cavani on the second half just primarily because he's that menace in the box. When defenders get tired, he can go there and create a ruckus. Starting Cavani actually gets the defenders time to read that movement. And what Martial does for me, especially in that Man City match, he pulled defenders left, right, and center. His ball holding was off the blocks, and he he played a very crucial part in that victory. So if he can, I always say that if word with Martial. So if he can replicate that form, Martial is a very deadly player. And Prasham, I have discussed with you in my podcast as well how that Martial Rashford combination has not been that much of a play. So I'd hope that Rashford and Martial or your Cole jiggle that comparison. Let's hope that we get to see that end the season on a high on that on that duo.
Right, right. So I think David De Gea will start in goal,
Mm-hmm.
and I think McTominay will play instead of Matic. I'm fairly certain. I think McTominay will play instead of Matic, and I think if Cavani is fit, I see him starting ahead of Anthony Martial. I think if Edinson Cavani is fit, I think he might start ahead of Anthony Martial. So at least that would be my lineup. It's fairly similar to yours. I think it's just a change in personnel here and there. So I think it's going to be an interesting game because I think Brighton offers some threat with Leandro Trossard, of course. I think Trossard has been very good. Mope as well has not been particularly bad. And the other thing is that Dunk has been very good with sort of getting into the end of free kicks and corners. So I think that is one area we've struggled on. So how would you counter this area against Brighton then?
Prasham, the question is how do we counter this against anyone? Like there is no clue. Like McTominay on the far post, sleepwalking in the span of 1.5 weeks. First, that goal against AC Milan, horrid defending in the 91st minute when you're supposed to be at the most concentrated part, and then leaving Kelechi Iheanacho for that. I don't know how that crept in. Like he was the last man United defender. He got the most time to see the ball, see the arc of the ball, see the trajectory, set himself up, and then he missed the header. Like, and Iheanacho was like, "Oh my god, how did this happen?" Okay, I'll get a tap in, and he even gets it on target from that acute angle and even scores. I don't have a clue what is wrong. I had a discussion with this with Abhigda in one of my podcasts that I initially argued that United don't benefit from having a defensive setup which is a high line
Mm-hmm.
in free kicks and corners because they don't have the pace to be captured. Abhigda actually made me understand that the more the high line you have, the more amount of time you get to atone for your errors. But the problem with United and Maguire, if you have slides, if you can just insert them here, is that Maguire just before the kick is taken and the teams very cleverly takes a false, like they play two attacking. They had two set piece takers, one fakes, and Maguire just drops, allowing that 1/4 of an inch of a play to make that run and be on space. City goal, Everton goal, all the same. Maguire dropped too early. So
Mm-hmm.
he told me that this was a constant fear of not doing the wrong thing, that you do the wrong thing. And I think this will only improve with time. Like United's ball playing has improved. Don't count the Fred error. That's just a one-off. But United, the way they played out of Liverpool's Zidane pressing, City's Pep Guardiola pressing is commendable. And I
Mm-hmm.
think I don't know if personal change is required. Definitely, McTominay is a good, very, very good squad player, but not like an NDD, which we saw is like a crab holding on to Bruno Fernandes and not letting him move. One player doing the job of two. That's what we need to unlock Bruno Fernandes. Tielemans and Ayuse Perez is not a number 10, but playing at the number 10. He did the job. I think, probably we're going in for a defender, as Fabrizio Romano said. I'm not
I
convinced.
personally don't believe anything Fabrizio Romano says. He's another one of those every second day he tweets about United just to get likes and
Likes.
whatever it is. But Neil, so essentially you've not answered my question. Will Brighton score from a set piece or not?
See, I believe I am one of those guys that has been hammered for believing in Harry Maguire, but I hammer myself at the end of the match for believing in Harry Maguire. So that's just always happened. And you don't know what's going to happen with United. You don't know. You put 9 past Southampton, you put 6 past Leeds, and you lose to bloody Sheffield United of all people,
Hmm.
who are rock bottom in that stupid fashion. It's so the team, even though the team is second, cannot convincingly say that this team deserves to be in that second spot, because there's no consistency in this team, not even in a single match.
Hmm.
We have seen many times that United have gone behind, then they have decided to turn up and take teams to the kitchen sink, winning matches 4-1 after conceding that one goal, especially against Newcastle, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
We have been benefited with a fair amount of penalties. That's true, which have decreased after Klopp started waving the red flag. I don't know why, but still, I hope this is going to be should be a comfortable victory for United. But I do see Brighton score, because Luis Dunk, for the sake of my FPL team, I have lost hopes of United keeping clean sheets. But let's hope
For the
that we.
sake of yours, he scores. For the sake of mine, I just transferred him out for Luke Shaw. So for the sake of mine, he doesn't. But Neil, just to wrap this up now, I personally think Brighton will not score. My prediction for the game is 3-0 to Manchester United. What is your prediction for the game, and who is going to be the player to watch out for today?
That's very tough, because, as I said, United don't turn up the way we want them to and the way it's drawn on paper, and we have a habit of making things difficult. That being said, I hope for a 2-0 victory. Just
Mhm.
that wild card on that set piece scoring. If we have managed set pieces very well, and we have considered stupid goals from set pieces, that is where it angers. If United decide to be that, so will not be stupid today, I can see a clean sheet. Players to watch out for, as always, at United, for Bruno Fernandes and Paul Pogba. None other than them. And no, at this point of time, Paul has been immense, winning matches on his own when he came back from injury. And I don't know if he'll stay beyond the summer, but if even that's not the case, let him finish on a high. He deserves to be in that spotlight even when he leaves. For Brighton, as you said, Neil Popper with his antics and with his mischievous runs, and Trossard with his pace. Even Pascal Gross, I think, should come in handy considering the midfield gaps we leave around. So all in all, I think a 2-0 victory. Let's hope. Let's hope that we and you obviously get that clean sheet point from Luke Shaw.
So, guys, you've heard it from us. Let us know what y'all think in the comments. This is an important game because it sort of is the beginning of the next set of fixtures that we are faced with. Like Neil sort of covered the fixtures in the start. We've got the Europa League, we've got Spurs, we've got Jose Mourinho, we've got some smaller narratives amongst larger narratives. And this second place is important to us because remember, we did finish third last year. Doesn't look like we're winning a trophy this year. So what would you call progress? Would you then say that the second place is the only chance for Oli to say that, he's actually taken the squad forward? There are many questions after that FA Cup defeat whether Oli and this team does have the bottle to actually win anything. So there are a lot of questions this team has to answer. There are a lot of questions Oli has to answer. And as United fans, we may not have anything to play for apart from the Europa League, but we are excited to see how far this team can go. So thanks, Neil, for joining us. Guys, do check out Netflix Football. The links are in the description below. Subscribe to his channel, subscribe to ours, and we'll see you all soon. Thanks for watching.
Bye bye.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching our video. If you do like it, please click on the thumbs up and please subscribe to our channel. Click on the bell icon to get daily notifications from the United Star. Follow us on Instagram at the.unitedstar and we will see you soon.